Morning and welcome onto this morning's call. Just want to make sure that you guys can actually hear my voice and see my screen. So if you can, do me a favor, just raise your little hand or just type in the chat box to let me know that you can actually. Okay, thanks very much. That's great, Ian. Okay, we've got some people coming in. I'm going to see, let's unmute again. So let's start with Ian. In theory, you should be unmuted now. But for some reason, I can't hear your voice. Ian, I know sometimes
yes, can you hear me now?
Oh, there we go. That's fantastic. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, let's unmute the others as well and see how it goes in. Jeff, in theory, you should be unmuted now as well.
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much. Good. Let's go and try Hiten. Hiten, in theory, I've unmuted you from my side.
Hi. Good morning.
Oh, there we go. Good morning. Hey, welcome on this morning. We've got a few more people coming in, so we'll just wait for them to come in as well, and then we'll unmute them too. So, hey, let's just hear where you are this morning. What is the weather like where you are? So where I am this morning, we've got it foggy, misty, but not super cold, so that's not too bad. Jeff, what's it like there with you?
It's sort of grey and horrible, but I still got a spring in my step because it's the 1st of February, so feeling good.
Yeah, absolutely. It's almost like Christmas. Okay, good stuff. And Ian, where are you guys this morning? What's it like there?
It's pretty mild and dry at the moment, and looking good. Looking good for Lancashire.
Fantastic. Just also to remind us, so I'm in the Midlands, Jeff is in London. Ian, where are you guys based?
Up near Manchester.
Okay, Manchester way. Good, fantastic.
Yeah.
And then let's move to Hiten. Hiten, I believe that you guys are close to London as well, but I could be horribly wrong. Is that right?
We're in central London, yes.
Yeah, so the weather's, I'm guessing the weather's going to be similar to what Jeff's experiencing, but...
Completely. Nothing to talk about.
Okay, fantastic. And then I believe David should also be in a... David, in theory, you're on... Hey, good morning. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Good stuff. So the question was, what's the weather like where you are this morning? So what is your weather like this morning?
It was a wet cycle in, so grey and wet.
Good. And just remind us, where are you based?
South London.
Okay, South London. Okay, good stuff. So these are the people on the call at this stage. More people have registered, so maybe they'll come in as we go along, but I think we'll just jump into it. So yes, today is the 1st of February, so that means for most of us, the horrible tax month is now kind of over, and we can start breathing again and start focusing on I suppose working on the business, making things happen again with all our energy. So here's a question that I think some of you might have exactly the same answer, but what was your biggest win for the past week? So let's start, we'll just keep in order. So Ian, what was your biggest win for the past week?
I managed to get a tender in for an academy audit. We got instructions on the Friday, and I moved it out by the following Friday morning. So if we're successful with our first academy audit, we have quite a few charities, but no academies. And our recent recruit is a specialist in academies, so it would fit very well. Okay,
fantastic. Good stuff. Let's go from Ian to Jeff. Jeff, what was your biggest win for the past week then?
Well, it's really just getting all our tax returns in. Sorry, it's really dull. But we only had one thing that was quite nice. Was we got a phone call from a lawyer who's quarter protection work. We actually got a phone call from them about 3:45 yesterday with an instruction to do a tax return, and just say we got it in. So I was quite So I thought, wow. I think for the latest I've probably taken it on anybody and still got their tax return done. So that's quite interesting.
Fantastic. Good stuff. So let's move to Hiten. So Hiten, your biggest win for the past week?
Again, just like Jeff, getting all the returns in.
Yeah. Absolutely. Definitely. Okay, thanks Hiten. David, let's go to you. Biggest win for the past week?
I found a new member of the team.
Oh wow. Okay. Fantastic.
She starts in 2 weeks.
Brilliant. Okay. And then I can see that Matt has just joined us. Let's see if we can unmute Matt here as well. Matt, in theory, you should be unmuted now.
Hi, is it the biggest win you're wanting, Rudy?
Yes, please. Good morning, Matt. Your biggest win for the past week, yes.
Feel a wee bit guilty having listened to Jeff and the rest of them saying about getting the tax returns in. I've had nothing to do in that front at all. My biggest win of the week was probably that, as well as the biggest win of the week was I've drafted out a discussion document for the future with Michael in relation to my own involvement going forward for the next few years up to exit.
Okay. Good stuff. Very nice. Okay, and then I can see Tony has joined us as well. Let me see if I can unmute Tony. No, it doesn't quite seem to be on the line yet, so I'm sure we'll join him soon. Okay, so fantastic. And to share with you this morning, my biggest win from the past week is that we're busy opening a small telesales arm for the business as well. And last week, I've recruited 2 good people for that as well. And they're starting their training tomorrow. So that's been my biggest win for the past week as well. Okay, good stuff. So let's go on to the next bit here. So again, just one-word answers, because we're probably about more than halfway through this quarter now. No, are we? No, not quite, almost. One-word answers, your quarterly goals and percentage completed for each. So let's go. Oh, shall we start with Ian again? Ian, just one-word answers your 3 quarterly goals and percentage completed for each of those at this stage of the game.
The pricing, 50% still, and the KPIs, 20%, and the pods, 25%. We'll move on that one.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, good. Jeff, your quarterly goals and percentage completed for each of those?
Yeah, I think we've done we've worked on our system for marketing, and we're probably 75% on there. The book is 100%, and the profiling stuff is all done. So yeah, no, get in there.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, let's go to Hitan. Hitan, your 3 quarterly goals, just one word for each of those, and percentage completed for each of those.
Okay, job planning system, we're still working on it. I'd say probably about 50% there.
Good.
And identifying jobs to be outsourced, again, we're probably 70% there. And
okay.
Team meeting with all the staff, we were supposed to have one today, but a couple of staff have had some emergencies and cannot make it today. So we have to reschedule that for a couple of weeks' time.
Okay. Good stuff. All right, so let's go to David, your quarterly goals and percentage complete for each of those.
Yeah, my software migrations up to 65, and KPIs, nothing, still at 10, and the training's at 10.
Okay, sorry, what was the last one?
Training.
Framing.
Training, sort of assessing the training needs of everyone in the office.
Okay, I'm with you. Okay, all right, so it is what it is at this stage. Good stuff. Matt, your main focus areas percentage completed?
Recruitment 50% plus the production roles a wee bit further on than the tax role, but we've done well, I think, the last week considering everything. Looking at the Making Tax digital and our systems, I would say 30%. There was quite a lot of work done in that in the last week. And the business generation I have replaced with the freedom one that I mentioned it before, about trying to get myself free, and I would say that that's about 25% done. There's been good progress actually last week.
Okay, good stuff. And then let's try Tony again. Tony, I'm going to see if I can unmute you, but for some reason I can't unmute you, and it says that Tony can't unmute until they enter their PIN. Click to send their PIN. So I've clicked and it shouldn't hear us send your PIN. But Tony, in the meantime, whilst you're not able to speak, if you maybe just want to type in your answers as well, then I can just read them out. And it would be your 3 quarterly goals and percentage completed for each of those. So as you do that, I think I'll move on to the next screen then. Good. Okay, so what is your one biggest project this week? Now, for some of you, that might just be, I'm going to stop and take a big breath of fresh air and relax. But, hey, life still carries on. So what's your one biggest project this coming week? So let's start again with Ian.
That's to align the clients with the new pods. So we've got recognised who's going in each pod. So we've now got to realign the clients accordingly. We've had 2 staff leave, so it's an ideal opportunity for us to reconfigure, to reassess.
Okay, brilliant, fantastic. And I can see, just going back to Tony, I see he's typed in there, MTD 30, yearly planner 30, and referrals 25. Okay, Tony, good stuff. Okay, Jeff, over to you. What is your one biggest project this coming week?
We've got a, we always after January we do a big feedback meeting, and I'm starting it at 10 o'clock. So we've got a 3-hour meeting with my senior team. Sort of lessons we've learned, try and get some things better. We've done some work on your basically our team and who's performed well and maybe who's not performed so well. So we're looking at different options. So it's a really important meeting I've got after this. As I say, it's a 10 o'clock meeting for 3 hours. That's a massively important thing. We've also got someone who coaches my senior team. She's joining us as well, and we've got some probably some fairly challenging issues or interesting. It's that sort of. It's moving up from a whatever star team we are at the moment to this A-star team, and what we've got to do about it, or do nothing. But the feeling is we all want to move up to the A-star team, so that's going to be some fairly big changes, I think.
So, yeah, and I think what you mentioned there, the sitting down and just reviewing this whole, especially the tax season and what can we do to improve, I think that's a massive key after any big thing that's happened to relook and say, well, how can we do it better next time? So, yeah, fantastic that you're doing that. Well done. Okay, that's with Jeff. Ethan, your biggest project this coming week?
I've got a couple of tax technical courses to attend,
okay,
which I'm quite looking forward to.
Good stuff. Okay, so that's your working in the business, which is perfect.
Yeah.
When you're looking at working on the business, which I'm much more interested in, what is your one biggest project this coming week for working on the business?
Again, it's similar to what Jeff is doing. We were supposed to have a self-assessment feedback meeting today, which we've had to cancel. So we'll probably do it next week.
Okay, good stuff. All right. Then over to David. David, your one biggest project this coming week?
Yeah, so with my migrations of all my Sage data to Zero, or not all of it, but quite a large chunk of it, the impact is my whole reporting setup has changed, or will have to change, and so I've been working on using programs, one Spotlight, and the other one I was reading that Crunchboard have rebranded and have sort of focused on the advisors. Because that's, I guess, so I'm going to be looking at what they are offering, because I haven't actually used the program at all.
Okay, good stuff. Okay, and then Matt, your one biggest project this coming week?
Well, personally, I want to get a discussion with Michael, an initial discussion with the route to freedom, actually.
Okay. Good stuff. And then Tony's typed in his biggest project this coming week is reassess performance, practice, and staff. Yeah, absolutely. You know, this whole thing about having an A-plus team, it's so vital. I know for me, even when I do recruitment, I put that whole A-plus formula on the board, that attitude plus ability equals A+. And I say to people in an interview process that if this is not you, this is not the place for you. And if you come on board and soon we find out that actually that is not you, you will be leaving us pretty quickly. So, good stuff. Okay, fantastic. Then this next screen here, roadblocks questions, what do you need help with right now? So let's go through it as in the same order again. Ian, I know we've got a call booked in to talk about your pricing and stuff, but is there anything else that you need help with specifically right now?
There probably are a million things, but nothing that I can be specific about at this precise moment.
Okay,
so,
that's fine.
I'm focusing on the pricing, so if you help me there, that'll be a great achievement.
Good stuff. Jeff, from your side, anything specific right now?
Yeah, there is something that's specifically come up. There's a practice in Hitchin, I think, called Optima Tax Compliance, and what they've done is they've set up a fairly aggressive employee type scheme where they've sort of outsourced all their, gone to clients, moved all their sort of team into an LLP, claimed £30,000 redundancy per person, and blah blah and whatever. Anyway, I was approached by someone who's just had the most, as you can imagine, the most stinking revenue letter on this stuff, all shown as a scheme, blah blah. And I need to go back to them with a proposal for effectively trying to sort of tidy this mess up. And I suppose really I'm wondering, it's a very difficult, in an ideal world what we do is we give an indication of what the fee is and we just bill on a monthly basis as we go along. I think it's important to take control of the whole thing and sort of follow it through. Apparently Optima were doing 30,000 people through this scheme, which is interesting, which I think equated to about £18 million in fees. So they're probably feeling it a little bit. But notwithstanding that, I need to sort of get my proposal right. Really, any sort of guidance about how to set out a sensible proposal? I think it's not like a council proposal. It's a specific piece of work.
Okay. So before I go and put my foot into that one, anyone else on the call with any ideas for Jeff on his question there? So that sounds like a bit of a no. Okay. So I must say, Jeff, I've not come across this one particularly before. So just to help understand it even better, what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Give me a bit more detail. So how?
So I met somebody last Friday.
Yeah.
I think timing-wise was quite good. I think the revenue letters arrived the day before. They're petrified. They were sort of pushed into, or decided to use that accountancy practice based on a mate referring them to this very clever tax stuff they do, and it's a disaster. There will be some mitigating factors, and the way I sort of propose to do it is sort of sensible overview, get everyone work on a strategy for the business, contact the revenue. So we're not going to reply on whatever it is, 24 partners or whatever they've got. We'll do one letter. We want them to take it as a special case because this. So basically, it's a strategy total to get this sorted out. But I've gone through. I've discussed with them what the strategy would be, but it's more how I set out a proposal. Now, it could simply just be an hourly basis of this, and I'm this per hour, and he's that per hour, and she's this per hour, and we're billed on a monthly basis. I could do that, and then I could do that with I'd expect the likely fee to be around whatever it is, 15 or whatever the number's going to be. So I could do that as well. But I want to make it. I don't know if there's a. That's what I would normally do. It's an interesting opportunity. So they introduced to one person. This one person knows someone else because they got hit with the same thing. So potentially there's two people, and then people talk. So it'd be quite nice to make this. Well, I don't know. I say I could just do my what I would normally do, which would be, yeah, the likely fee is this, this is our approach, the likely fee is this, we'll bill it on a monthly basis, these are the hourly rates, blah, blah, we can't tell how much it's going to be because it's an investigation, that's that sort of thing. Or if there's a way of making it any better than that.
Okay. So what is their worst case scenario? If they don't get this sorted, how much could it potentially end up costing them?
Well, it could potentially cost them all their staff, really, because you've got a type of professional person who's paid okay money but nothing amazing, and they just certainly do not want to be thought of as going through this grief on something they could probably, in their minds, think the employer forced them to do. So from a company point of view, risk point of view, they could lose all their staff. Tax-wise, you could reverse the whole thing, and that might cost, I don't know, 150, 200 grand, maybe a bit more. But it could, could get a publicity statement going through, I suppose, where they, publish the name in, for any sort of tax fraud stuff, it gets published. So yeah, I don't know. There's the consequences could be horrible.
Okay, and roughly how many staff do they have?
24.
Okay, so worst case scenario is that they lose some or all of their 24 staff, but on a financial perspective, potentially costing them somewhere between 150 to 200,000 pounds to get it sorted.
Yeah, well, but then if they've got staff going, then it's business threatening.
Yeah. Okay. So, from a value-based conversation, we know what the worst-case scenario is. So, you'd probably want to bring that into the conversation with them and more coach them so they come up with those answers, because the person who says it owns it. So even though you know the numbers and how horrible it could be, you definitely want to ask the question so they actually verbalize it. And then once they've done that, then from a value perspective, it's about picking a number that is sensible in comparison to that. So like you say, if you just did a normal plain job, it'd be in the region of about 15.
Yep.
And nobody's going to know this answer, but I'm guessing you could really stretching it as far as you can or want to or able to. But like you say, people do talk, and if it's a good job within a fair, relatively speaking, budget, other people know about it. So
yeah, I wouldn't sort of, if our time costs are, I don't know, whatever, 12 to 15, I'd be happy to bill 15. But our more to the point, I wouldn't be looking for more than that. I'd be more in, if the proposal looks good, then potentially there could be 2 of them or 3 of them or 10 of them or whatever. So it could be quite a nice sort of, we could really help these businesses who must be in a really bad state at the moment, sort of seeing a way forward.
Okay, so from a financial perspective, you'd be happy to accept around 12, 15.
Yeah, I mean I'm guessing that's it's very difficult to quantify an investigation, but yeah, I'm guessing it'd be that sort of time, that sort of amount.
So does this question really go back to, well, how do I communicate with them so that they really get the value for what they can be paying?
Yes.
Okay, so then it's definitely that conversation. Essentially, you coach them for them to verbalize their worst case scenario. Because once they've verbalized and it's important that they verbalize it, not you. You can coach them and guide them to eventually say 150 to 200,000 pounds.
Yep.
Or lose all our staff and the consequences of that. But those actual words have to come out of their mouths.
Yep.
And then from there, by asking questions, you can coach them then to, okay, so then what do you want? How do we do this? This is what we propose we can do for you at a mere cost of potentially X, Y, and Z.
Yeah. So really following following the same sort of procedure. I know you've helped me with proposals for a more normal proposals before. So really following those points on those proposals. Trying to do.
Yeah, absolutely, because it definitely works. You know,
I get that. That's,
the whole thing of different from a sales perspective, if you can get your prospect to be in your office crying because they're so emotionally pained by what's going to happen, then the sale has pretty much always happened.
Yeah, so sort of where you are now, where you want to get to, and the roadblocks holding you back, sort of thing. I think that's what you've used. You've helped me with on that proposal.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've had the. I mean, it was a face-to-face meeting. He was in a. He wasn't. In his head, he said, "Look, whatever. If it's 100, 150 grand to sort out, that's fine." He clearly has a business making really good money. So
okay.
It's not a number that that is actually not the emotional cost. The number for tax to sort that out isn't his biggest issue because he's got that in his head sorted out already. I think
okay.
The effect on his business, the effect on losing good team members.
Okay.
That's more important.
Okay. So yeah, so get him to verbalize that.
Yeah.
And then take it from there.
Then effectively read that back to him or report that back to him and then give him a proposal. Okay, no, that makes sense. Thank you for that.
Okay. Let me know how you get on with that. But I reckon that should do the trick for you. Okay, good stuff. All right, so Hitton, let's go to you. Anything specific that you need from me at this point in time?
Yes, I had a question for everyone. With self-assessment and clients providing information through email, what we do is around about August, September, we send out a personal tax return checklist to all the clients. What we find is not many of them complete them. What they do is during the year, they keep on sending you emails with the dividend voucher here, bank interest confirmation here. And then obviously you need to go through and check against what happened last year. It takes a fair bit of time. And then also when you chase them, they don't necessarily reply that quickly. I wonder how other people are getting on with collating information. It'd be useful to their views.
Okay. So it's open to anyone else if you've got any response to how you do that on Ethan's question there.
It's Jeff, it's absolutely identical. We've sent out this really nice, I think it's through Iris, but there's a sort of checklist for them to complete online and send it in and all this sort of stuff, which we're gonna find out. I'm gonna find out today what percentage actually completed that, but it's going to be a very, very low percentage. Majority comes in dribs and drabs and just dragged out people. I think what we found is, and I don't know what other people use as a base level for their preparing personal tax returns, that you can't do a personal tax return for less than £400, and we just say that. So although it will be nice, yeah, if we get it all in one form and produce a schedule and submit and do the tax return, it will take 25 minutes. In reality, it's nothing like that. So we just make, from our point of view, it's just accept what it is and just make sure we sort of we have an appropriate fee that covers it.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. Anyone else? Any ideas for Hitton on what they do there? Matt, do you know how do you guys approach that in your practice?
It we really just go from circumstance to circumstance. It depends entirely on where we find ourselves. I think one of the problems we've got is we don't really have procedures that are communicated well enough, and if you're in these circumstances, that's what you do. We just go with the flow and just deal with it as it is.
Okay.
I think that's the problem we've got.
Okay, Matt, thanks very much. So, Hitton, my take on that one, the ideal is where you've got a practice and a model in your practice where you've got a role for what I call the guard dog. But essentially it's, now I call it the guard dog and there's certain things they do, but in your practice could be an admin person or someone who's allocated, and one of their roles is to follow up with clients and literally hound the client. So once a batch of these emails have gone out to the clients with a request that it must be returned or completed by X date, but this admin person, we need a very persistent personality here, and dogged personality, to be using email, on the phone, leaving voice messages, and really essentially hounding the clients until those have come in. But bringing much more of a concerted effort and focus, getting those questionnaires in. And again, not everyone will respond, but potentially the response rate and the return rate on that will be much higher than it might just otherwise be. So that's the thoughts that I've got on that, and Jeff's given his ideas as well.
Yeah, we do the same thing with it. We have a sort of a tax administrator to sort of chase that through as well. That which makes a massive difference. Yeah.
Okay, that's useful.
Okay. I guess there's going to be no proper foolproof one system, unless we somehow bring in financial penalties, but that brings in a whole different ball game again with it. But if you're not yet using an admin person to be full-time on it, then try that as the next step as well then. Okay, good stuff. David, anything from your side that you need help with right now?
I don't know how other people use all these softwares out there, but trialing them, and I've been trialing this one called Spotlight. It takes quite a lot of time to actually work out how it all works, and then you decide whether it suits you or not. Now I'm going to go down the Crunchboard route, and yeah, it takes quite a lot of time, which I don't really mind, but I wonder if someone has an excellent tip for a management reporting piece of software that they might have bumped into or used.
Okay, so David, just for future, if you wouldn't mind just bringing your mouth a little closer to the microphone, will just make the sound a bit better. But David's question there, for those of you who couldn't perhaps hear it, he's looked at Spotlight and he's decided he's going to go with Crunchboards. But his question is anybody else using any other kind of software for this kind of management reporting that they could suggest to him? So
we're not using anything, and I remember the presentation for us really kindly on Crunchboards. But I've got to be honest, it didn't really make a lot of sense to me that day. I didn't really get it at all, and I still haven't got it. But I think we should be something. I think we're going in terms of making tax digital and the whole thing. We should be using something, but I don't know where to turn. We've seen things like Profit Sense and Crunchboards obviously, but there's some other stuff out there, but I really don't know which one to go for. And it's getting, and also there was a FC3, which was another one. It was kind of an analytical tool, but I don't really know where to turn, if I'm being honest. There would be interesting if anyone's further advanced in.
There's a lot out there, and they've all got their own little strengths and weaknesses. Interesting, but it takes a lot of time to get through it and hit what actually works the best. I guess that's my decision to decide what works the best for us.
Okay. So David, by the sounds of it, no one else is particularly using anything there yet.
Yeah, we're trialing Crunchboard as well. It's Ian speaking. So I think we tried Spotlight, but didn't run with it. We didn't subscribe to it, but we decided on Crunchboards. Unfortunately, our Crunchboard specialist has left, so we've got to pick up where he left off.
Yeah, that's interesting because it becomes a software specialist. Someone's got to know how to drive. FA leagues, and everyone needs to be trained up. So a lot of training going on.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Okay. That's from David. Matt, anything specific you need help with right now?
Definitely. What I would like, Rudy, is a wee 5 minutes with yourself about the best way to approach Michael, who's under a bit of pressure anyway in terms of the day-to-day management of the business, to approach him about my own circumstances and obviously how that impacts on the business going forward. Because I want to time, I don't want to spook him, but by the same token, as you've seen during the week, the situation regarding my friend Callum's kind of shaken me up a wee bit. You don't know what's in front, and I want to take steps to have to react to anything wrong. So Matt, some help on that.
I think your situation is quite unique because Michael is your son and you're busy handing things over to him. So I think best would be that we'll book in a call, you and me, and I'll go through that with you on a one-on-one basis.
Yes.
And then Tony's dropped in there already that he's got nothing for right now. So good stuff. Okay, thanks for those questions. Then that brings us towards almost the end of the call. So for each of you, what's been your biggest insight or takeaway from this morning's call? So let's start with Ian again.
Having Jeff having the gumption to have a feedback meeting, which was facilitated by an outsider regarding tax return season, pluses and the minuses. So
good stuff.
Okay. I've not been hands-on, but I know that I know we can do better. So that's what we should do here.
Okay. And yeah, Ian, every day is a learning curve. So fantastic. Okay, good stuff. Jeff, over to you. Biggest takeaway from this morning's call?
It's been very helpful. The discussion you've helped about how I do this proposal has been really helpful. So thank you. Sorry, it's a bit selfish, but it was really helpful for me.
On that, Jeff, just maybe a hybrid version. Maybe consider just putting your charge-out rates, charging a premium rate for that special kind of work. So you can still hour it, but you can just tweak it.
Yeah, I think that's because it's quite delicate work.
Yeah.
And if anyone's going to take this sort of work on to get out this sort of mess, it's going to be a bigger firm. So I think that's a really good point. Thank you.
Jeff, can I add in Thomasworth on that one? Yeah. One of the things I would be saying in those circumstances is because I think what you said there is absolutely correct, is that you'll do the work, you'll get it, it's delicate, you'll handle it properly, but there is an opportunity cost because other work will need to suffer, and as a result of that, you'll have to
Yeah, overtime stuff like that. Yeah, I get that. Because it's from their point of view, it's important that this is done promptly, not just sort of left to fall in line with everything else. It does need to be pushed ahead of other things, so as a result there is an opportunity cost. Yeah, you're absolutely right with that.
Jeff, it's and just a couple of other points. One is I would put a minimum fee in case you get to a stage where things get difficult and the client decides to pull out. And secondly, I would take some money up front and then adjust that right at the end against the final invoice.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting. I suppose, I've seen the bloke as a pretty successful running a business that makes a lot of money, but notwithstanding, actually, I've never done a minimum fee. I've never even thought of it. Because you're absolutely right. Because if they sort of change their mind or goes in a different direction, you would have incurred actually probably quite a lot of thinking time that you wouldn't have actually billed. So that's, or even sort of amazingly put on a timesheet, but you've considered the right approach. So I can get that. This is really interesting. Sorry, I'm getting a lot of value out of this. So thank you everybody. And the upfront, I think it's probably normal, isn't it, for this sort of work to get an upfront fee, just so you're in. Otherwise, whatever, the appreciation factor disappears, doesn't it?
Yeah. And also, if you have a lot of WIP or debtors outstanding, your thinking might be compromised. Whereas if you have money up front, you're in control.
Yes, no, I get that. I think that's a good point.
Okay, fantastic. Thanks for sharing that. So, where do we go from Jeff? Hiten, your biggest insight takeaway from this morning?
Okay, again, it's to do with Jeff and how he has his feedback meeting on self-assessment. All these years we never had one, and as I said, we're due to have one sometime in the next couple of weeks. So it'll be interesting to find out how everybody feels about how self-assessment went and how it could be improved for next year.
Good stuff. Okay. David, your biggest insight takeaway this morning?
Yeah, hearing everyone else's issues sort of sparks up a lot of stuff in my brain, even though I work in slightly different areas. To do this, always, I've got a little set of things that I know on my horizon, so it's a good wake up and a spark up.
Fantastic. Okay, good. Then over to Matt. Matt, your biggest takeaway from this morning's call?
Well, it's I'm going to say that the brain dump, which we do after exercises like January, we've always done that. It's very good, you know, and it works. But I think my biggest takeaway is, and this is terrible to admit this, you mentioned the tax administrator. We actually have a tax administrator for picking up the points that I've said before, but I don't think that we communicate that properly to the person or to the rest of the team. And I think the story that's in our head is different from the story that's perhaps in everyone else's head. So my takeaway is making sure that the tax administration role is properly communicated and agreed with the person and then with the wider team.
Okay. Fantastic. Good. And then Tony, I know that you're muted for some reason, but if you just want to type in your biggest takeaway this morning as well, it would be great. Just wait for Tony to just type in there. And I presume Tony is busy typing at the moment, although I can't be 100% certain. Just give him another 10 seconds or so just to press that enter button. No, it might not press with us right now. Okay, so hey, I think that's going to bring us to the end of this morning's call. So well done to all of you for surviving your tax months. Fantastic this morning. And I know I've got a few calls booked with you over the next week or so. Also next week is our Navigator week, so then we'll get into the monthly navigators for the month of February and just make sure we're on track, what's the biggest focus areas for the month of February. So for all of you, have yourselves a fantastic rest of the week, and I'll speak to you soon again. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye.